Bonjour, it's me again, obviously. Getting back to this. Doesn't that look a bit like a warp engine nestle? And Star Trek, you don't know what I'm on about. That one. Imagine that on nestlers. Right? Star Trek shit. Yeah, it is. I was thinking, you know the magnetic spheres on the inside colourless on the cup on the inside. Well, I was thinking on the maglev system, if we can use what's the word I'm looking for now? I was on about gravity amplifiers before. What if I use a mixture of both magnetic spheres and a gravity amplifier? Now, getting all the gravity amplifier spheres are very hard, because like top secret in America, aren't they? But you can make it wrong. At least they make. You just need a sphere presser, a very heavy GSM sphere presser. That's dare I say it? That's capable of electromagnetic sealing. That's how the Yanks have been doing it for years. What you do is you get your magnetic sphere and say it's about, we'll give an example. Say a sphere about that big, and you put it in a gravity press. I call them gravity presses because not actually gravity presses, are they? What are they used again? It's a press of a type that they use to make graphite with. See, what they do is they get graphite and they flatten it, so it's flattening the atomic weight, so it's atomically flat, and that crushes the subatomic universe on a two-dimensional plane. It's literally creating a two-dimensional dimension, literally through energy, because you're flattening the subatomic mass inside the atom to a two-dimensional flatness, and you create a fine, what we call a fine crystal layer from the graphite, which we call a graphite crystal layer. Because what you're doing is you're crushing the atom. Now, atoms are spherical as they look, but you're flattening it like a disc. And you get trillions and trillions and trillions of these molecules of discs of atoms together that are see-through, but they're bonded in such a way, because you flatten them, their atomic, subatomic systems bond outwards and connect and interconnect with the other ones that are flattened. And it creates a stronger bond. But it's brittle at the same time, because it's flat, right? So it's like paper, it's like that. You can fold it. And what they found is you can make circuitry, like CPUs, and printed circuit boards and things like that. And you can make diodes and everything with these crystals from the graphite that you can make graphite with. Now, I'm thinking, if you use that press to make graphite, to get a sphere, now, the process to make a magnetic sphere that's powerful enough to drive a turbine blade like that, it's helium. What you need is purified magnetic ore, right? You call it molten rock. And if you get your molten rock, pure molten rock, and purify it, compress it, cool it in helium in an electromagnetic field, and then compress it in one of those graphite compressors, but you adapt it to do spheres rather than flatten it. You've got to adapt it so it compresses a sphere. Now, when you do that, instead of using graphite and you use the magma, a strange thing happens with the magnetic spheres fields. Think about it. A planet is spherical, right? but it has a pull because of the magma. Now, if you have gravity amplifier, magnetic sphere with a very heavy field flux next to a gravity amplifier, just think what that might do on an intake like that. And don't forget, right, you can use these underwater. An amphibious aircraft, imagine that. But it's not just an aircraft, it's a spacecraft. Now, I've got a theory that if you're in a planet, say like Neptune or Uranus, or even Jupiter, and you've got a probe that can withstand amounts of G-force and gravity and pressure, it'd have to be really thin, flat type craft to take the pressure, because if you have it all bulky, it'll just buckle with the pressures. And that's why I started realising that the Americans' drones are flat, especially the triangle ones have been experimenting with the gravity pushes, and I'm realising with their gravity amplifiers and the magnetic sphere using the process of healing cooling to exacerbate the magnetic fields to make them more intense as a heavy flux. With both these and that, imagine a scenario where you're inside, say, Neptune, and you're coasting inside the ethers, and you need an emergency evac, but you're in liquid gas, right? And using the liquid gas as an accelerator as if it were water. And say, for instance, you need to make an immediate evac from the actual planet out. With the gravity push and the magnetic field spheres working in conjunction, you better wormhole out from an atmosphere without causing any damage to the planet or its actual magnetic field. You see, this engine, when tweaked right, don't forget you've got ailerons and fins, control fins and control ailerons that move inside to change the air compressions. And don't forget this is tubular, so you have cross-section fins that go with the aerodynamics, or like that, or like that, and sort of like cross-section like that, or like that, and then you got your intake fans there, and then behind these are the spheres and gravity pushers, and then the air compression goes in through the fan. You can have a fan set there as well that does the, the opposite way of these, or the other way around, or whatever, for whatever best sort of acceleration you want. But this is the important bit here, the vortices lip, at the beginning of the mouth intake. You see, all the way around there is that lip. Without that lip, if you just had that like that, it'd be very hard to create an acceleration point, because you need this heavy drop in low pressure. You need that low pressure region there, that zero pressure region in there. Now you think that would balance out when it hits a vacuum, but don't forget, the space void that you know as space, it has a slight gas property. I mean, you sometimes get mixtures of different gases, and sometimes you don't get any. You get pockets where there are no gases. But if that happened, that's why you use the gravity pushers. If there was no gas in space, and the accelerators will just kick in to overtake the magnetic frequencies of the spheres. But if you're using gravity gliders to push through, you need them on the actual ship. Now when you get pockets without gas, and you're going out through space, and you hit one where there's no gas, you'll stop, won't you? Because you need the airflow as an accelerator. And that's why I was thinking you need the gravity amplifiers. And what what you can do is you can use what we call energy attractors, and this is what the gravity amplifiers do. You can use it like an ion intake, and an ion intake, you call them scoops. Now what you can do is you can use the gravity amplifier to attract accelerative gases from the void, because certain types of gases carry certain types of small filament elements in them, bits of ground down meteorite. Think of a sandy beach. How does a sandy beach get to be a sandy beach? Right? You're talking about billions of years of stellar matter drifting through a void. Planets being ground down to microdust particles. And if it's gravity influenced, you can use the gravity amplifiers to draw in space dust and use it like a flow of air. That's how you can accelerate in space.